Hey guys, welcome back. This is Real Estate Uncensored. I have Mr. Nick Sekis, Mr. Gene
Whoa.
Vopoli.
Whoa.
You're a Vopoli today,
Oh my gosh.
apparently. It's too cold, man. It's like 30 degrees out here. My
Uh,
lips can't even move. That's why I'm in a hoodie, like 4 different layers with a scarf and a hat on.
Wah, wah, wah.
Okay, I'm gonna kick you off the show. But we have Mr. Byron on the show today, guys and gals. We're gonna be talking about distractions, life, real estate. He is incredibly knowledgeable in regards to this stuff. He stuns me every single time I actually I have the opportunity to talk to him. You guys are blessed to have him in your earballs. But first, Mr. Nick Sakis, how are you, buddy?
yes, sir. I'm actually all the distractions are great, but I might have been distracted on pre-show because me and Byron were talking about golf a little bit, and you can see over here is some clubs that I have that are quite dusty. I haven't played in a while, so hopefully not only will we get real estate tips, but we'll get some golfing tips as well.
Oh, trust me, Byron can definitely drop hammer on both of those. Gene Volpe, the evil bald ninja. What's up, homie? How are you?
Well, since we're talking about golfing, your boy will be in Sarasota on Sunday swinging the clubs with
Heyo.
some professional athletes and my business partners. And I would say my clubs are probably not as dusty as yours.
Yeah,
But let's
definitely.
just say that I will be partnered up with one of these agents who just picked up golf because I said to his buddy, he's like, he's brand new. And I go, well, listen, I'm terrible. So I'm going to be drinking tequila and smoking cigars while I'm swinging. He's like, oh, you guys are going to get along just fine.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Dude.
video to follow, Greg.
Love it.
I love it. I'm going to follow you guys. I love watching golf. Speaking of golf, Mr. Byron, how are you? Welcome back, my friend. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you do, and a little bit about you so everybody knows from when they sleep underneath a giant rock, if they have never heard of you, just kind of who you are.
Well, welcome. I'm Byron Van Arsdale, and it's a trade secret, and no one is to know me. Everyone's to know my wife, Bernice Ross, but no one is to know me. And there's a really good reason for this, is because then I just get phone calls. I wouldn't be able to golf. I wouldn't be able to bake, all the things I love to do. And a lot of what I do now is I do backup. I still have clients, but I do a lot of backup work for Bernice so she can be great and watch the company grow. I guess I can say I'm a business coach. What else can I say? I like golf. I love golf.
Dude, that's awesome. Now, some of the things that you and I talk about offline are very in depth, and we go deep on some really, really interesting subject matters. When it comes to something that I think is really pertinent in today's day and age, I mean, things are being thrown at us on a consistent basis, aka distractions. And I want to go deep on distractions because I mean, I get caught up in distractions personally, politically, socially, community based. Everything is a distraction. Walk us through a little bit about distractions and how you help folks mitigate that and move forward in life to be profitable and productive.
This is a really important issue, I believe, for agents, no matter what your level of experience is, because your ability to eliminate or at least mitigate your distractions allows you to provide better customer service for your clients, allows you to better hear what your clients are really saying, allows you to pick up on buying signals, when they're subtle and it's body language only. I mean, this whole world of selling real estate really comes down to how present can you be on a day-to-day basis, whether you're making prospecting calls, whether you're cleaning up who and negotiating who's going to pay for the roof of the house, et cetera. And so, a lot of discussion about having, balance. I don't like the term balance. I like the term harmony. But balance has been widely used, especially in women magazines now, for over 15, 20 years. They talk about balance, balance, balance. The problem is this balance is static. Harmony is fluid. And every agent that's probably listening to this show right now has a wild life. I don't care how it's wild, but there's so much going on, as Greg, as you were talking about. There's so much craziness. There's so much frustration. There's so much concern about the market, clients going crazy, that if you actually can quiet your mind and really listen, then the value you will be to your clients and potential clients is huge. and the way your clients will talk about you after transactions is going to lead to more business. So a distraction, quite simply, is something that just takes your mind off of what you're doing. Now, there's a difference between thinking and mind. And I'm going to make a great reference right now to a resource that I have found to be incredibly huge here late in life. I got the Headspace app. You can find it up on Apple, whatever it is, the App Store, all these places. Headspace, I liked it. I liked it because I liked listening, particularly to the guy. And if you're going to get a meditation tape, whoever it is that you like listening to, they're going to be a great person to follow. So I have about 158 days straight. That includes me getting days of meditation in while in the middle of Antarctica with limited bandwidth at 3:30 in the morning this past January. But I have 158 days and over 2,300 minutes. And the one thing that I've learned more than that, no, there's two things I've learned. Number one is that 158 days, I don't know anything. It's absolutely amazing. There are people who have been doing mindfulness training for decades, and they still talk about the wonder of it because they keep discovering things. So at 158 days, just listen to my words and what I say with just a little bit, of skepticism, realizing I really don't know much of what I'm talking about. The second thing that I learned was most of what distractions are is basically thinking. And a way to look at this thinking, if you want, is go picture or go lie down on a grassy piece of grass someplace in the country and watch clouds go by. And tell me how long in this beautiful serene setting where your phone is off, you're just sitting there and you're looking at the clouds. Tell me how long it is before you actually start to look at the clouds and create animals, faces, pictures, etc. And you have a great example of what thinking is. In other words, it's what invades our mind almost all the time. Mindfulness is the ability to be just quiet. The distractions really, when you realize, is nothing more than thinking, and you can identify and see it just as thinking. Then what happens is you slide into this kind of unusual place where all of a sudden you're not really thinking, you're just observing, you're just relaxed, and what you can hear and what you can actually get clarity on is pretty huge. So there's a difference between mindfulness and thinking. And most of the problems that we have with distractions go right back to the thinking. Another great example is, I realize no one on this show or any of the listeners here might have that, oh, if I were to have this conversation again, this is the way it would play out. And I would say this in your mind. That's all thinking. It's not valuable. It's not useful. It's not even great for getting a reassessment or an understanding of what happened. What it is a distraction. So if you eliminate something like that, or the next time, and this is what I do now, I say, that's just thinking, we don't need to worry about it. And it's amazing how fast your mind, my mind perhaps, will switch, but it's still going to be tricky. It's still going to try to have me think about things. So this idea about distractions is we create them. And if I would say the third thing I discovered, and this is why I like the Headspace app, is what they say is rather profound for me. And this one issue was, he said, it's oftentimes what, as a coach, I would call this a reframe, a way to look at something differently. He said, we don't lack space in our lives. He says, if you look up at the blue sky, you don't immediately think, oh, I need more space. The blue sky simply is. It's wide, it's open, it's expansive. He says, but when we talk about adding space, what we really mean is we filled our mental space with distractions. We chose them, we created them. It doesn't matter why or how, but filling an existing space with distractions gives you a handle on something you can remove. So instead of trying to create space, what I now look at is say, what distractions are getting in the way? And that's part, Greg, I think that's part of what we ought to be talking about, is how we create some of these distractions and how do we get rid of them.
Listen, I like that, Byron. I like that, right? These guys are telling me I need to talk more. Greg, does it sound like I'm coming through my mic here?
Yeah, you sound much better now.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So for a guy like me, right? Like, I'm going to make a joke, Byron. You lost me at the 3rd minute. And that's not really true. You did. But I am distracted like that. That's how my brain works, right? And I know you've heard this a million times because I've heard it, and I think people that are in the mindfulness space call it bullshit, right? But I'm very easily distracted. So my quiet time is limited to the next thought, right? That comes through my space. And that might be 15 seconds. It might be like I have a hard time falling asleep at night because of I got to numb my brain for hours before I go to bed because of that next business idea and what I got to do for tax returns. And I forgot shit. I got to do this thing for this company last week. My daughter has X. Like, I can't get rid of that. So for a guy like me that decides he wants to pick up some headspace or something along those lines before we get to the distractions, because I liked what you said about looking at the vast space and seeing the clouds that you can pull out of it, right? Like I look at it almost that way. The clouds are the distraction in my world. How do I get that cloud and rip it out so I have more clear sky? So for a guy like me, how do you recommend, or you have any tips or tricks on, listen, brother, it doesn't need to be 40 minutes. Here's how you settle in. Here's where you should be. Give me some tips for myself.
So what's unusual, Gene, look, there's so many people exactly like you. I mean, you were the norm. You're not out, you're not out of sync at all. You're the norm. For the people who actually can concentrate and block out everything, I think they're the precious few. I'm a little jealous personally, because that's not necessarily my approach. But the ability to actually stay on a topic and clear the distractions, one of the best things to do is to simply make a list of 5 projects and don't pick up anything until you dump another project. Now, let's tie this back over to real estate. An agent meets with a couple and they're interested in buying a house. So the agent has one of 2 choices. The agent can say, great, let's go look at 5 houses and let me just see what you like. Okay, that's one approach. That was the old approach. What really happens now is, let's do a buyer's interview. Let me ask you some questions to figure out what really is important to you. Is walkability important? Are schools important? What is it that's really important to you? And of course, what will happen is buyers will come up with a list that has about 115 things on it. So the agent, the smart agent, will go, great, you can have 5 on your list, nothing else. Which ones do you want? And so it becomes a ranked choice. So again, Gene, parallel this. You can look at your business ideas and say, okay, I'm going to write it down, but I'm not ready for it yet. But I'm going to keep it in a place written so I know what my idea is. And I'm going to come back to this when I get rid of one of my 5 projects in front of me. Now, it takes immense dedication and it takes a lot of mistakes to actually whittle down to 5 and not run like you're free from the barn and your horse out running in the field to say, okay, let's add 5 more. It really takes some, I would say some training, some willpower, and dedication to say, okay, which 5? I'm only allowed 5. So again, if we go back to the agent who can actually, and they used to call it in software, they would call it scope creep. In other words, a vendor would go to a client and they would want this, 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 and this. And they go, great. And then they start building it. And then the client says, no, I want this and this and this. And they'll go, great, we can add that. And then, no, I want this, this, and this. And what happens is it's this massive scope creep. And so whether you're an agent or whether you're Gene and you just want to get a kind of handle on your thoughts, you have to say, I got 5 things. And you're going to write those 5 things down, Gene. They're going to be everywhere that you can see them. I don't care if they're on your phone, your screen, your laptop, whatever it is, but you have 5 things. And every time you say, I want to blah, 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 you simply look down and say, is this part of number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, or number 5? And at that point, and look, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, Gene, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure.
Perfection's not the issue. You just want to have something that you can go at. And so that's how you do it. It's a slow, steady approach. It's not meant to be perfect. It's not meant to be anything other than really freaking messy.
So it's funny that you say that, because I was in IT and we had scope creep all the time. Brings back, that's a blast from the past. And I know, Nick, from our perspectives, I think you and I in business, we should name our business as Scope Creep LLC.
Yeah,
I mean,
how
how many times have you found yourself getting burnt because you gave something away that was a little slower than what they anticipated, but it wasn't even part of the service to begin with?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that top 5. It's just a top 5 rehearsal over and over and over again. For me, like I just downloaded the MySpace app or Headspace app. Sorry, not MySpace. Whoa! I just deleted MySpace a couple weeks ago. That's a whole other story.
1986, my friend.
Headspace. I do like that because I think a lot of agents here are ADD. I'm king ADD in this category. So I've never been able to really, and I hate I am statements, but I'm going to go ahead and make one. Like, I am not a meditator. I am not somebody who journals. I would intend to change that. I've tried before, have not been successful, but I know that when I did, the times that I did actually journal and sit in my thoughts, I was much more productive and much less scrambled. So you reinforcing that, hearing you, I've downloaded that app. I'm going to put some of this into practice because as someone who's ADD, and like me and Gene just laugh about the way that we handle or talk to our customers or whatever, it's the same way that agents, it's just business in general. You get engaged with somebody, you start talking to somebody, you agree on these specific things, and then all of a sudden you look up 2 weeks later and it's like, whoa, 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 time out. How did we get to this situation we're in when we were supposed to be doing just one thing? And I love the perfect example for real estate agents is pick 5 things if you're a buyer that you have to have, and then we can move on from there, and everything else is an ancillary. So I love all of that.
The best part of this, the ADD, ADHD. Look, I will just say that you work with your body. You work with what works for you. But at the same time, I want you to challenge every assumption you think about who you are and what you do. See, because the crucial part here is that we are constantly changing. I'm talking from the time we started this podcast to right now. Gina's already popping off thoughts. You're already popping off thoughts. I'm already popping off thoughts about what you've said and what we've said and what we talked about. So even though it doesn't seem like it's massive change, we are on incremental change every moment of our lives because we gain new information. So the person we start with today is not the individual that we have access to tomorrow. And to me, that's what makes it so great. So the willingness and the openness of saying, hey, I'm ADD, I'm ADHD, just gives you a place to say, okay, well, this is what I work from. This is who I am. This is what I work from. These are my resources. How do I make them work? So as an example on this one, Nick, take golf, on this one. Then you can say, when you're standing over the ball, I have a little joke about this. I talk about going to Jamaica. I look down at the ball, I start the swing, and then all of a sudden, everything's done, and I'm looking up and I go, where am I? What happened to me? It's a quarter of a second long, but somewhere I got lost. And I call it just going to Jamaica. So if you have situations like that, all you do is you say, oh, okay, that's just me working with me. This is what I do like. This is the way I do want a meditation. So really what happens, Nick, is you personalize the meditation experience to you. And that's what I meant about someone who's been meditating for 10 or 20 years. And they keep talking about it's a whole new experience. Is because 10 or 20 years ago, that individual wasn't who they started with. And it's not who they're going to be. So it's really this, I mean, if you look at it, it's really kind of exciting. It's this constantly progressive growth. And the sole point of the distraction is to actually keep that hidden from us. Whereas something like being mindful actually allows us to see it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hey, has anybody seen Greg?
I don't know. Now we have to yell at Greg to talk.
He's cold.
No, I'm just listening, man. I'm just soaking it all in. I'm like a dry piece of bread, just soaking all this goodness in. Are you kidding me?
You are a little
I got notes coming out of my ears over here. Give me a break. This is good stuff, Byron. The reason why I wanted you to come on is because you go so deep in a lot of these esoteric and incredibly information-based opportunities where people can actually really, if they take a second and they listen to the words, not just hear what you say, listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth. It's like a master class in mental stability. And that's the one thing I really enjoy about listening to you. And that's why you and I have been friends. We talk about a lot of stuff offline that we're not going to bring up right now. But I mean, the stuff that you talk about, you're not speaking out of school. This is something you're a practitioner in. You do this on a daily basis and you teach this. And I just hope people will actually really understand that. So guys and gals, go back, rewatch what Byron just talked about. Really let that soak in. And the reason why I was so quiet, like I said, I was taking notes. Balance and harmony, that really resonated with me because in life, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm definitely wrong more times than not. Thank you, Gene and Nick, for really resonating with me on that one.
Always.
Thanks, guys.
I
Love
didn't
you.
say anything.
I know Nick did. But can you have balance and can you have harmony at the same time? Or do you have to pick from one of the two and then go in that direction? Because I don't know. Well, that's my first question. Let's go with there. Let's go with that.
All right. So I get to answer?
Yes, please. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing to know about balance, okay, and you really, if you want to look at balance, you've got to look at a scale. Balance is static. Harmony is fluid. So let's take an agent, and let's say it's a married couple. It doesn't matter who the agent is, but they've got 3 kids. If you try to start talking about life balance to someone with 3 kids, especially 3 young kids, I mean, you're on the wrong foot to begin with. That is just a joke. Now, I never had children, but my brothers did. So I got a bit of an eyeful of what happens, but it is chaotic from one moment to the next. So this concept of balance, which sounds so good and so smart, and I think this is one of the big problems in life in general, is we hear these things that we should have. Like, that's why I said to Nick, look, ADHD, you work with what you have. You don't work with what you should have. You work with what you have. But the ability to focus on harmony, it's much more sexy to talk about balance. But look, when you talk about harmony, you could have 30% business, 70% family on one day. You could have 70%, business, 30% family on the next day. So the dynamic fluid change of going back and forth, I find, with harmony is really, really important. And that's why I said, when I talked about the concept of space versus distractions, and this really, look, I've studied a lot. I mean, I really love understanding humans. I really love understanding why I do the crazy things I do, and gaining truth and clarity for me on this subject. But when Headspace says, oh, you don't need to worry about space because there's plenty of space, I can't tell you the decades that I've talked about to clients about how they need to create more space. And in a single sentence, this guy says, oh, you don't need to create more space. There's more than enough. I'm sitting there going, what? What? And what you realize is you can't create space. What you can create, though, is eliminate distractions. So it comes back to more of a tactical issue. Balance is static and it's only fleeting, especially if you have 2 different weights, because it goes through the 0 mark on those 2 different weights at a certain speed and doesn't stop till it hits the other point where they're quote unquote in balance. But it's dynamic when you start talking about harmony. You can say, oh, and that's why when you look at really great bands or great orchestras, you listen and look for the harmony in there and how beautiful it is, because it all comes together to create this beautiful piece of work. So if someone takes their life and say, how do I create harmony in my life? Well, that's a worthwhile discussion. It's a worthwhile place to be curious and say, well, what does harmony mean to me? Because look, everybody is unique. Everyone. Really don't care. If some people may say, hey, I'm just like you, Gene, I'm just like you, Byron, I'm like you, Greg, I'm like you. But really it comes down to, you're an individual, you're unique, and this is your journey. And the one way to do it is to be really, really curious about everything in your life. And Nick, that's why I said, look, start from, I have ADD or ADHD, but then say, okay, what if I tried this? What would it be like my way if I did this? And then that just leads you on a really cool journey. And it's a mindful journey.
Love that.
Yeah, that's being dyslexic and ADHD, my personal self, right? I've had to learn how to do things in my own realm, my own like living space, right? And so for me, like, I have found hacks to make my life more efficient. So if I can't spell something, I talk to my phone or I type it into the computer and it'll give me an answer, and then I can put it back out into society. And when it comes to harmony and balance, for me, balance is me being able to, I guess, be around other folks that are not, dyslexic or ADHD. I found a balance there. I found a way to make it work. So in real estate, in life, in business, and in philanthropic opportunities and opportunity and everything else in life, what would be your first step to find a harmony and or balance in someone's life if they are struggling with an ailment like I have and I am on a daily basis? What would you say? Like, would you say talk to your priest, your pastor, your Muslim? I forget the name of the deity there. But I mean, the folks that are kind of powerful in your life. Would you go talk to them, or would you go and kind of sit outside in the sun and just kind of get some inspiration from the universe? I mean, where would you get that opportunity to get those ideas?
Sorry, I'm smiling because isn't this the $64,000 question of what it really should be? So
True.
I'll give you the short answer, and then I'll give you what I seem to believe is a much more elaborate answer in case I don't lose it while I'm talking. Okay, the short answer is go to the mirror. Now, the reason I say this is important, look, there are people that you trust around you. There are people, that you value their opinion because they have your best interests in mind. I would say for probably most people, that's a very, very small percentage of the people who really trust and value you as who you are and want the best for you. You're probably going to find, like I did over life, is that there are a number of friends you have who aren't really interested in you getting better. They're really interested in you staying exactly who you are because it comforts them. So
let's go back to that really quickly.
Okay.
When you said that, like, when people don't really want you to be better because then that would kind of shadow them a little bit. How do you counteract that? Because there's a lot of folks out there in the world, and I'm not shaming anybody listening to this. I'm just saying that people out there exist that have this mentality in regards to the fact that they don't want you to succeed. They want you to fail because that makes them feel better. So, Byron, how do you get around that? Because when someone talks negative to you, your parents, and now again, we all have wonderful parents, we have all wonderful, siblings, we have wonderful friends. I get it. But let's just say you don't for half a second, and someone's trying to do you ill will, and they talk trash about you and they belittle you in front of other folks. Byron, how do you get around that? Because I think that's a major, major hurdle for a lot of folks.
All right. So recently I came across a meme that just made me laugh. It says, in my 20s, I used to care what people thought about me. In my 40s, I realized I didn't care what people thought about me. And then in my 60s, what I realized is they never thought about me to begin with. All right. So this concept, so Greg, what you have to do, first thing is dismantle something on this. Most people are not sociopaths that want you to fail. That's not the situation. They are in their world fighting their own battles, focused on their own lives, trying to make sense of what they're doing. And the blowback that we get, or the tear downs that we get, verbal, et cetera, from them, are something nothing more than kind of like after a wave, you've got the foam that's just on the beach, right? It's just a leftover thing. It wasn't done intentionally. And so once you realize that people are so caught up in their own worlds, that they're so into what they're doing, and that when you come across someone, and it could be a pastor, it could be a religious figure, it could be a mentor, could be a therapist, could be a coach. I mean, could be a life partner. I mean, you got a small number of people in your life that want you to be the best you can be. And that's the end of it. So if you identify those people, then what happens is you can start to ask questions. But still, at the end of the day, you have to realize that the person who knows you, Inc., better than anyone else is you. And I refer to you, Inc., as just like yourself, right?
Right.
You'll know what you do, what you like, what you don't like. You'll know your hacks. You'll know the subtle things. You'll have experienced things in life and you say, whoa, that doesn't work for me. Oh, that really works for me. So you know yourself better than anyone else, and you can't really delegate that to anyone else. You ask,
no, you can't,
and you inquire and you listen to what people say. And I think this is why this issue of distractions is so important, is because when you have a small number of distractions, let's say Gene's kind of hanging out, he's handled this tax stuff, he's done the business stuff, he's just sitting there quiet, and someone says, Gene, you stupid idiot, you blah, 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 whatever it is, Gene goes, huh? He just goes, huh? What was that? That was weird. What, but if Gene's caught up in all those other things, he may only get a part of the communication, in which case he's already on top of himself. The alligators are up here, in which case he turns around and says, you don't like me, you don't this, blah, 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 and he'll miss the whole point. The whole point was this was just someone erupting around him, and he just didn't need to get covered with their eruption.
Well, let's talk about Gene for a second, because he's a literal mute sometimes, but he has two beautiful young daughters, right? And these young girls are susceptible to the world, right? What people say. So let's use his daughters as an example right now for a real estate agent's mind or a professional's mind, because when they're growing up in business or in life, they're going to take in everything literally as what they hear. So let's talk about young boys, young girls, not in a weird way, you fuck faces. Okay. I'm talking about professional shit. Okay.
I'm glad you at least brought it up.
Yeah, exactly. At least I had to clear that one up. Good
I didn't
God.
have to.
Nick is sitting there going like, how am I on this show right now? What the heck? But I mean, realistically, I meet a lot of really new agents, and they're frightened of their own shadows. And if they say something wrong, or if they don't have the perfect script, or if they, if someone says something bad to them, as a young human being, like Nick and Gene both have beautiful kids that are younger. How do you help an agent, aka a professional, aka a young human? How do you get them over that hump of hearing something negative and not internalizing it?
All right, so Gene, I think the easy way to do this. Well, Nick, I'll include you on this one, but Gene, I think the easy way to do, is wait until you're about 65 and they're up at about 45 years of age, and they've been through so many bumps, bruises, smashes, car crashes, metaphorically, of course, etc. And then they'll go, "Oh, Dad, this is great." No, this goes back to this goes back to something you said earlier when you said, Byron, this piece on harmony, versus balance. Look, I will tell you right now, my guess is there's probably 3 to 5% of the listeners right now who all of a sudden had it just like you, Greg. It hit them right through the heart, and they go, "Oh my gosh, I can't solve balance. Balance is not I can't solve that. That's impossible. It's static. It's fleeting. Harmony, though, that I can make headway with." The other 95% of listeners, someone's going to lock it in their brain in 3 or 5 or 7 years or 9 years. And everyone has this experience. Something someone said way back when, all of a sudden you go, "Oh my gosh, I get what they meant." So this is the unusual part about being curious. The challenge for the young people is, and I don't have children, so I'm going to talk very carefully about this, but I will say is that probably 90% of my clients through 25 years of coaching have been women. So I have a really good understanding of what independent women who control their income, control their lives, think, and how they operate. And what I've discovered is that women are far more complex thinkers. In other words, they see much deeper relationships. There's so many more layers. So, Gene, I'm going to say your daughters, if you start asking some questions, you'll realize that they have layer and layer and layer and layer, and it's so much more complicated than generally how most men think. Of course, you may be wondering, how is it, Byron, that you've had 85 or 90% of your clients be women all these years? All I can say is somehow I'm able to explain stuff in enough breadth, enough depth, and in a way that they go, "Okay, I've not heard that before, and I've not heard it in that way. I'm okay with this." So for the young people, look, really, I think young, old, it doesn't matter. This idea, if you really get curious, if you really start to say, "I don't need to prove that I'm right in the world. I don't need to prove that I'm the best. I don't need to prove any of this stuff. Because if we look at agents for a minute, the more you're trying to prove, the less value you're actually being to a client. Because really, your client will tell you what the value is. And usually, and this comes from Bernice, usually the greatest value you can give a client is to help them make the best decision possible today with the limited information they have. So whether they're buying or selling, if you can help them make the best they make, not you, not trying to be smart, blah, 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 but you help your clients make the best decision for them in their purchase or sale of their house, your value is out the door. It's amazing. But if you try to prove how right you are, how smart you are, how much you need to be top producer and blah, 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 you're just focused on the wrong thing. And so, unfortunately, what I would say is both Nick and Gene's kids are discovering, who am I? What am I? How do I think? What do I need to think? What's wrong? And they just have really, really limited context. And so, yeah, Gene, God, I'd love to be, I was told I'd make a great parent. I'm not so sure about that because I didn't go through the process. So I just hold that out as kind of like, maybe someone will believe it, but any parent would know having children is, if there's nothing that drives you to fundamentally understand and revisit every aspect of your life, it's children. They force it on you because they ask questions, they do things. You see stuff happen. For me, that's why I like golf. I see stuff happen right in front of me. I just have to be awake enough, have my mind quiet enough to be able to look and go, what the heck was that?
So let's back that up for half a second. When they say awake enough, listening enough, right? That's something that a lot of us don't do. What we do is we hear, we don't listen. We don't actually understand what other people are saying because we have our own interpretation in regards to what we think that they should be thinking.
Yes.
And I am 1,000% guilty of this. I used to tell people, no, don't buy this part of town, only buy that part of town because of blah, 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 yakety schmack. And I've learned after 24 years of doing this business, I need to shut the fuck up and just let people talk, let them be themselves, let them express who they are. And Gene and Nick, when it comes to the kiddos and life and everything else, when it comes to distractions, what are a couple of things, Nick, you first, then Gene, what's one, give me one thing per person that is a distraction in your point of view for your kiddos, that what Byron is talking about, that we can maybe work on and agents can maybe work on in their own businesses, just as an example. Nick, what's one thing?
Oh, that's real heavy, dude. I don't know. I mean, so my youngest are 6 and 3, right? They are the epitome of a sponge right now. And so everything that I do, wife does, things that are going on at home, they're mimicking. I'm seeing them now getting into social media trends. And, my 6-year-old is really into sports, and every dance that he does in the end zone has to do with whatever his favorite player was, on Sports Center. So like, he's really absorbing a lot right now. And my biggest thing that I try to stay as mindful of as possible is the whole, and Byron talked about this, right? The idea that, don't do as I say, right? Like it's you become a better example. So you're not just telling them to be a better thing or do better things. They're watching you more than they listen to you. So I'm always trying to improve what I do around them, and it really just comes back to me and myself and being a better person anyway. So what are they seeing? How are they observing me? How am I interacting with my clients? It's funny because my 6-year-old said last year, I think he was 5. It was about last year. He said, Nick, he goes, Dad, you got a lot of friends. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean? I spend all my time with you. Like, I don't go out and play golf with Byron. That's why these clubs are dusty. And he goes, well, you call everybody buddy. Everybody's your buddy. So like when he just hears me on the phone all day long talking to customers, like, yeah, buddy, and that's just how I am. So I had to be, that immediately snapped me into being more mindful as the language that I use. Like everybody's not your buddy, but that's just one quirk that I've always had. And maybe it just defines me. But so yeah, Byron, I think with what you do with coaching, like you might not have kids personally yourself, but I'm a natural coach as well. And I think that is, you're like a father figure. You are helping people self-identify, and the best coaches do that. The best coaching calls are not you berating people on what they should do. It's you're allowing people to come to the self-actualization or realization and have the aha moment for themselves. And it just from the half hour that we've been talking, it sounds like you're really excellent at that. And I think a lot of that has to do with the mindfulness of things and being aware.
Yeah, well put.
Gene, before you jump in, let me say one quick thing about this.
Go ahead.
Because I believe, Nick, what you just said really touches on a huge component. And for years, I mean, I've got 25, 28 years of coaching and more on top of that if you consider some of the previous work I'd done. But the situation here is that there's something that defines a coach, I believe. In other words, we've had this discussion among our peers for decades. What really makes a great coach? And I've come down to years and years of experience. It comes down to me to one thing. A coach does this or does not do this. And I'll let you figure this out as a parent. But the people that I consider the best coaches in the world see their clients as capable, able, and fully functional to do whatever it is they need to do. And this is why this is so important. They don't see them fixed, broken, they have to help them, none of that stuff. They just see them and say, well, there isn't anything you can't do. Where do you want to go from here today? And when they look at someone like that, and you might try this with your children, when you look at them as not needing to be corrected, fixed, or anything else, but you really see that part of them that really can do anything, you ask and speak in a way that's completely different. So I believe the really best coaches, what they are able to do is they see what's capable inside their clients that their clients can't envision. They can't see that expansiveness of themselves. They can't see themselves actually, no, I can't do that. It's like you said, no, I've ADD. I can't meditate. I go, well, no, that's not true. Yeah. That may have been true 2 years ago, but that's not necessarily true today. So I'll just assume you can't do it. And I'll ask you questions based on that. So Nick, that subtle part, when you talk about being really good coach, is what you're able to do is have someone perform in a way that blows their own mind because they have the limitations. You as the coach don't.
Right. Yeah,
it's what you ask. It's not what you berate. It's the way you ask the question, like the subtlety between, harmony and balance is huge. The subtlety between balance versus, creating space versus, eliminating distractions is huge because it gives a chance for someone to perform on something they can actually do. So you really said something beautiful, and I'm hoping people really listen to what you said. Gene?
If they didn't listen to what he said, he's going to chop it up into 34 pieces with his TikTok generator, and they will listen to it over the next 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, I think they were both great things. I don't even remember what the hell the question was to start with.
Children, your daughters.
I got 2 of them. It's the reason why I wear this hat, because I'm bald. And I think you said something that was super important. Women are difficult. Isn't that what you said? Women are
complicated.
I think that's what I heard too.
Yeah. Not difficult. No. Look.
He said layers of complexity.
Yes.
I think was a
more
eloquent way.
Layers of complexity.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yes.
I guess you're teaching me something. I got layers and layers upon layers and landfills. Let's say, how about that? Landfills of it.
Yeah.
Over at this place. Gregor's.
So wait, Gene.
Yeah.
You've got 3 women in the house.
That doesn't include my cat, who's upstairs breaking stuff as we speak. But I have a Sicilian wife, and my 2 daughters. So yeah.
Well, I know one thing. You just never upset Sicilian, and I would imagine Sicilian wife would be worse because I have a friend who's Sicilian. He goes, oh no, I'm really easy to get along. Just don't upset me. I said,
100%. I call my father-in-law Mount Vesuvius.
No, so there's I love the phrase happy wife, happy life. But I've also discovered that level of complexity that women have, that men generally, and I say generally on both sides, don't have, is that we see things a little less covered up. So it takes us a little less to see the clear point. Women have a number of layers to go through, but the level of complexity is absolutely huge and crucial, in terms of communities and everything else. Look, I honestly believe real estate agents are the glue of every community. They know people, they pass things along, they help people, they do things volunteer to help the community. They're really like, and look, glue is not sexy. It's really not sexy, but it is crucial for a community to operate and function well. And so I think men in some ways are like this. You're glue. It's not sexy, but you keep stuff together.
Utilitarian, I think, is how they call it.
There you go.
And look,
then are you Elmer's glue? Are you Gorilla Glue? What
No,
level
Gene's
of glue
duct tape.
are you?
Gene's
Duct
duct
tape.
tape. Yeah.
you can use,
Duct
listen,
tape.
I'm okay with that. You can use duct tape for everything. And listen, just for the lady listeners, I hope they know. Here's my buddy Brian. Stop crying. Those women are fabulous. Yeah, Brian's got 6 girls and burn. So 7. No. I wouldn't want the ladies to mistake. I was kidding about my kids and my wife. They're my. I will kill people for them. I'm teasing. I love women. Unfortunately, for me, it's it's one of my weaknesses, I guess. Greg, I gotta say something. This is
Okay, say it. What
I
do
mean,
got?
you say it's uncomfortable when I'm quiet. Boy, my goodness.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong, Nick?
I know.
just
I do
old.
think so. We've completely role reversed here on this show today. So March 1st, mark it in your calendars. Gene Volpe has taken over the show, and Greg McDaniel is now in Gene's seat.
In awe.
Silence.
He's in awe.
An awe of silence.
I'm just quiet because I'm listening. I'm soaking in all the good knowledge. I don't have kids, and I'm listening to kind of, distractions and kind of mindset and everything else. So I'm sitting here. I'm in awe of all of you guys and on kind of where you guys are coming from. And I hope a lot of agents are in the same mindset. Because it's always good to be vulnerable. Vulnerable means you're learnable. When you can learn, you can grow. When you grow, you can thrive. Without that, you're going to stay stagnant and you're going to stay in the same place you are right now. Now, that's ego. That's 100% a male thing, and sometimes a female thing. Ladies, you guys definitely have egos too. Don't get me wrong. Trust me, I date one. She has an ego. I love her to pieces, but she has an ego. And it's a beautiful thing because it empowers her to do what she does on a professional basis because she knows what she's talking about. So go out there today and tomorrow and the next day, whatever day you're listening to my voice right now, looking at these other beautiful faces on these screens, and have an ego, have an opinion. Go out there and stop the distractions. Help folks, stay away from what's taking them away. The silver object theory, right? Everything, the shiny object theory. Everything is like shiny, and you have to have the newest, greatest thing. Like Apple's amazing at that. They're always like, the new iPhone is the Apple 14 Pro, Apple 22,000, Pro, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Look, who gives a fuck? It makes a motherfucking phone call. Stick with what works and just get down and have fun and don't get distracted. Get out there, go belly to belly, face to face, eyeball to eyeball. Have a conversation, be empathetic to another human being and understand the trials and tribulations that they're going through. That is what's going to give you business. Distractions will take you away from having business. Let's wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. Byron, I cannot tell you how much fun I have talking to you. I mean, we have literally have not even scratched the surface with our baby pinky finger about what you have in your brain. Nick Sackis, tell everybody where they can get a hold of you, and I need a color on the bow on the show for you.
Nick Sackis on all social medias, SAKKIS or nicksakis.com. I do believe, even though Greg, you didn't talk much today, I think we had 4 F-bombs and 1 yakety schmack. So I think this was a very fulfilled show today.
Go fuck yourself, yakety schmack.
Color for the bow on the show, I'm going orange because the Mindspace app is orange, or Headspace app. I keep saying MySpace. I don't know what that is. But Headspace, I'm looking forward to jumping in that on Byron's recommendation.
Beautiful. I love it. Gene, give us where everybody can get a hold of you. I swear to fucking God, that's 6,
5.
by the way.
Oh,
6
6?
F-bombs.
Yeah.
Where can people get a hold of you? And if you say nowhere, I'm going to kick you off the show for life.
Like I say, nowhere you can't.
Oh, God.
You can get a hold of me. You just, I mean, you know where to get a hold of me. You just can't because I'm not going to respond.
Just like he's so much right now. All right. Give me a color on the boat for the show, please.
You went with orange. He went with orange. I'm going to go with golf ball white. I'm golfing this weekend. So golf
good
ball
one. Yeah.
Okay, white golf ball.
Tequila yellow might have been perfect for you.
Mm.
Oh, that's true, actually. Although I will be, if I'm being honest, I'll be drinking beer on the course, not tequila.
Oh,
Byron,
God,
are you
yeah.
a Titleist snob, or what's your golf ball of choice?
You know, you're going to hate me for this. My next door neighbor was a lobbyist in New York State, and he ran a lot of golf tournaments. So he has boxes and boxes of logoed balls. And so I have a lifetime supply of Titleist balls.
Oh.
I could have others,
That's
but
great.
my friends hate me because he brings over 6 or 8 boxes. Says, "You need more?" And I said, "Yeah, bring
Keep
them."
them coming.
Oh, my God.
So
Seriously?
I'm not good enough to really know what a good ball is, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm a 17 handicap. I've been as low as a 13, and I'm on my way down. But I will say let me at least put this one part in. Look, you can't find me on social media. Apparently, I hate social media. So if you want to get a hold of me, Byron at realestatecoach.com, or, you can call me on my cell phone, 512-426-7095. Texting is the fastest way to get me. If I'm on the course, I don't pay any attention to my phone. So just don't expect an immediate return call, but do something. Say, hey, I saw you on, Greg's show or something like that. Just give me an idea, where you're coming from, and you're not some spam call. I'll be more than happy to return the
Byron,
call.
what's that number one more time?
512-426-7095.
Guys and
Let's
gals.
not look past the web address. If he might not be on social media with a verified check mark, but I think the fact that he owns realestatecoach.com should let you know how long he's been in the game.
He's an OG, is what you're saying.
Yeah. You could
No,
probably you could sell that for a lot of money.
We give that to Bernice. Bernice has credit for doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, look, I hate email. I hate social media. Like the guys know this. Whatever. I'm with Greg. Talk to somebody, shake their hand, have coffee with them, see them, get to experience, forget the Zoom call, go see them, right? This is what people remember. They remember agents who connect with them, and do that. It's an important part. It's part of your keeping your community together. Just don't hide behind the email and all that stuff, but get out and see them. Oh, and I do want to say one more thing. As I said, about 25, 26 plus years, I have primarily worked with women. Women are absolutely amazing. I'll say that first and foremost.
I secondary that.
I'll just say they're amazing. You're fabulous business people. You're fabulous connectors. I think in many respects better than most men. So your natural attribute is there. But what I will say is we haven't said this yet, but real estate is the most amazing business you can be in, because you can actually dial your business up to meet and suit you and your lifestyle to exactly what you want to do. And so this is an amazing business. You get to help people, you create communities. You guys just remember, dial your business up to suit you and be how do I say this? Be yourself. You'll be more successful, you'll be more authentic, and you'll have more people raving about your skill set. Even if they're problems, they're going to like what you do and refer you.
Very well said. And you know what? I think a lot of people needed to hear that, because folks, doesn't matter what gender you are, color, creed, religion, or anything else, everybody thinks about themselves in a deficient manner. In reality, you guys are beautiful, powerful, intelligent, incredibly awesome human beings. God put you on this earth for a friggin' reason. Go out there and be the incredible human being you are. And now, Byron, when it comes to being an incredible human being, I need a color for the bow on the show from your point of view as well. We have an orange, we have a golf ball white. What would your color be?
I'm feeling blue. No, I'm going to go with black, because I'm wearing black. I got the whole Steve Jobs things. I finally
Yeah, there
agree
you
with
go.
Steve Jobs. He wore the same thing every day. It's really simple. You just really don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Zuckerberg,
Part of
the
your
same
brand.
thing. Just wear a hoodie, wear a black, turtleneck. You don't have to think about shit. Just go out there and just do your job and come home and relax, have a cocktail or a cup of coffee or eat a salad or walk the dog or kick the cat or pet the goldfish, whatever the fuck you want to do. That's 7, by the way,
7.
Nick. Um,
What was the other one? Slappity slap, rickety rat.
Yakety
Yakety
schmack.
schmack.
yakety
Yakety
schmack.
schmack is
Yakety
Greg's
mack?
favorite word.
Oh my god.
Phrase.
Yakety schmack.
Yeah.
Yakety
And
schmack.
on blah
Okay.
blah blah street.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this, guys. Please
That was
go.
the greatest 2 minutes of a podcast ever. I hope people aren't listening still. It just got fucking dumber.
Nick,
Everybody listening
Gene,
just got dumber.
I'm so sorry. Oh, Gene, his feed just fell out. That's so weird how that happens. Oh well, man, there he's back. Okay, good. Thank God your feed came back in. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been a lot of fun. Byron is a wealth of knowledge. He gave his phone number out 2 times, plus his other contact information. So he is here to help you guys. Please reach out to him. I make nothing on referring him. I only refer him because, one, he's incredible. He's intelligent. He's insightful. And he can help you guys wherever you want to go in your business. Sit down and have a conversation with him. Your brain's going to explode like my brain exploded when I had a conversation with him a couple of times. And he'll, believe me, by the end of your session, he'll keep going because he really gets invested in your well-being. And that's what I love about him. So Byron, we're going to put a black Steve Jobs part of the bow on the show. Mr. Gene Volpe, we're gonna put an wait shit.
Golf
Who
ball white.
orange?
Golf ball white.
Yeah,
He
white.
did white. Golf ball white, just like your hat today.
That's
guys,
gray, I believe.
hit up Gene Volpe. Guys, go take a look at him. He's a national speaker. He's an author. He's an incredible podcast co-host and everything else on God's green earth. Reach out to him for marketing, technology, so on and so forth. You will not be upset. I've told the story several times. I looked at Gene one day and I'm like, Gene, what the fuck, man? That's 8.
8.
Why are you not doing any posting for me on my social media? He's like, he turns around at me on the post show and goes, bitch, I've been doing your posting for the last 4 years. I'm like, oops. Okay.
I hate that story because if you don't know the context of it, people are probably like, he must be terrible then.
Yeah.
No.
Gene sucks at posting. Greg didn't even know he was doing it.
Oh man.
No,
I don't think that was a comment about you, Gene.
Thank you. I
I'm
appreciate
pretty sure
that.
that was not a comment about you. It was
No, you guys are misconstruing my comment here. What I'm saying is that he did such a good job, I didn't even see it coming. And so that's why I didn't understand what was happening. But he was an evil bald ninja slicing and dicing content in the back end. That's a compliment, bitch. Fucking take it.
I'll take it.
And then Mr. Nick Sakis. We're going to put an orange bow on this show. Follow Nick Sakis. Nick, where can people get hold of you?
NickSakis.com.
God, you guys really got to work on your presentation.
We already did this. We already did this once. We already did this once. That's why.
No. Trying
It's
to
the
promote.
never-ending podcast.
All right, fuck off. All right, guys, we're gonna kill this show. These guys are being dickheads. I love you to pieces. Until next time, boom, peace. We love you. Peace out, ninjas. We gone, dickheads.